Hey guys! I absolutely cannot believe that it's been a whole week already since the last garden tour. I feel like I've been doing so much content for you lately. Like it was just yesterday that I was filming something for you. So, hello again. And this week, let's take a look at the seedlings. We're going to look outside, and then we are going to take a look at the edible weeds that are around this time of year. Little baby seedlings are doing pretty well. They might actually look sadder than they did last week. I'll have to go back and check, but I did thin them out. You can still see all the little stems sticking out where I cut plants off. So these are now all one per cell, except for the turnips and the beets. And these are going to be inside for just a little bit longer before I go ahead and harden them off and start sticking them outside. And for those of you who are keeping up with me in the same area, I just planted my ginger and turmeric inside. I don't think this is necessary, but especially since this is my first year actively having turmeric to plant, I want to get kind of ahead. So these two are turmeric and these 7 are ginger. All I did was put like pieces like about this big just in the dirt, and they should go ahead and sprout. It will take a while though, and these are actually backups. So when I was harvesting ginger initially, I took some little pieces and immediately stuck them back in the ground, and we'll see if those actually come up when spring hits. Like I said, these are backups because I haven't actually tried overwintering ginger in the ground like that before. We'll see. The ground did freeze a little bit. Like I know for sure in my raised beds, the stuff that was above ground, the top little layer got a little frozen, but I don't know if like the actual ground froze at all. And if it did, then maybe the ginger didn't do so well, but we'll see. You know, I've got my backups, and we've done an experiment now, and we'll see the results in, I guess, a couple of months. It is actually a super lovely day outside. Last week I said it suddenly felt like spring, and that definitely has not let up. I'm not even sure I really need this jacket. It's so nice out. So I'm down on the end of the first row. I'm just checking in on this blueberry plant. I see it's starting to make little buds, but it should be a while before it actually starts trying to do anything. Hopefully this warm weather doesn't confuse it. And next to it is this cauliflower. This is the one that absolutely, the whole top just kind of died. I'm not sure if it froze to death or something else happened. I didn't cut it off. This is just it falling apart and drying up. But the rest of the plant looks so healthy that I'm willing to leave it and see if it tries again to flower. Some of the garlic that came up is looking really healthy. These look like they're gonna do really well. Next to it, all these fava beans. Some of them look a little sadder than others, but you can see right down here at the base, this is coming back. All of these are little sprouts that are trying to come back. So these plants are far from dead. I haven't been pulling from my lettuces because most of them still look like this. Definitely died back when it got cold and are trying to recuperate. You can see these newer leaves look okay, but everything else out here is very wilted. The ones that are doing the best are still these Merlot lettuces, so if you're looking for cold hardy, this one looks like a really good bet. And this Romanesco broccoli, I was looking real deep in here, and you can see maybe that is just now starting to make a little head in there. So we should see some pretty substantial growth on that very soon. I have planted so many onions in this garden. I know you won't be able to see it for like a few more weeks still from a distance, but starting here and going all the way up that edge, that is all onions, and it's the same thing on the other side right up here. And then I had a row of garlic planted here, and I had so many extra onion starts that I started putting onions kind of zigzagged in with those garlics that I could see coming up. I gave away some onion starts and I still have more. So I think I successfully overdid it this year on the onions. Checking in on the Brussels sprouts. We've got some really nice ones forming in here. Still very loose, but you know, lots of them at least. And now that it's getting warmer, these are probably not going to be quite as tasty. Although I guess it still got below freezing last night, so they're probably all right. But if it were to be warm for several days in a row, these would definitely start getting more bitter. Coming over here to look at the raised beds. Obviously the interesting one is the new one. I did finish filling it, and I also planted some onions in here. They're all right here along this edge. And this is my in-ground worm bin. I have not put any worms in it yet, but it is sitting there waiting for me to be ready to put worms in it. I did record some footage of what I did to make that worm bin, so you will see a video about that coming out somewhat soonish. I put a banana peel and some coffee grounds in here to see if I could entice the worms that I know are already in here into here. And I don't see anybody on my banana peel, but that's okay. There's only, some of the compost that I pulled had worms in it, and I can't be sure what kind, you know? So we'll keep waiting, we'll see. All right, let's move on to talking about all of the edible weeds that are actually out and about this time of year, that I can be pulling as extra harvests if I want to. Right here at the base of this raised bed is actually a really good side-by-side example of two of the more common ones that I have. This is henbit right here with the rounder leaves and the little purple flowers. And then right next to it, this is purple dead nettle. And it also has those purple flowers, but it has these more triangle-shaped leaves. And you can kind of see if you get real close that the tops of the flowers are just a little fuzzy. Similar with the henbit, I don't see any with like big flowers at the moment, but their flowers also get a little bit fuzzy also. Hello, little buddy. Okay, I found one with flowers right next to one of the dead nettles with flowers. You can see just how similar they are with their flowers, but the henbit has that very distinctly different shaped leaf. So like I said, both of those are edible. I'm pretty sure they're both edible raw, but I haven't found them to be super tasty. I also know people use them medicinally, but again, I haven't like super looked into what that looks like. But you know, you can go do your own research and let me know if you actually currently use those medicinally, because I'd love to hear. Next, we'll look at one that pretty much everybody knows. This is dandelion. It's not flowering right now, but the leaves are still green. And you can see, of course, with dandelion, we've got these very jagged leaves. And a lot of the common lookalikes, the flower stalks, are the best way to tell the difference. The flower stalks on a true dandelion are hollow, you know, and they tend to have that like milky stuff in them. But lookalikes for dandelion, those stems tend to not be hollow. Also, this time of year is a good time to be eating dandelion greens. They're not going to be as bitter as they are in the summer. Dandelion root, flower, leaves, all edible. I've heard people like to roast the root for coffee-like kind of tea thing. I'll sometimes pull some of the greens for my salads. Flowers, I've seen people make like a jelly from them. I haven't tried that myself, but there's a lot of stuff to do with dandelion. And it's actually really great for your soil to have dandelion. Dandelions are calcium pumps, and so their big long taproot reaches way down, pulls calcium up into the leaves, which then eventually die off on the surface, and helps bring that nutrient that wouldn't be accessible to plants up to the surface where it is accessible to your other plants. If you are worried about dandelion lookalikes, according to the internet, none of them are toxic, so you shouldn't need to worry about that, but I think most of us know how to recognize a dandelion. Another edible weed popping up for me this time of year is chickweed. It's right in here between the dead nettle. And we'll pull this and take a look. So chickweed, when it's flowering, it will have white flowers. And for me, the easiest way to tell that I've successfully identified chickweed is there is a single row of hairs along the stem. I know it's going to be hard to see on camera, but there is a single row of little white hairs going all the way up the stem. The whole stem isn't fuzzy, it's just one single line of them going up, and that's how you know that you've got chickweed. Growing right near it, I have this look-alike. I don't actually know what it is, other than it's definitely not chickweed. You can see the pointiness of the leaves, and the leaves also just feel different than the chickweed leaves. It's also missing that hair going all the way up the stem. So chickweed, not chickweed. Back over here by the raised bed, there is yet another chickweed look-alike. This one, if you take a look at the leaves, you can see that they're kind of lobed, like little ridges on the edges, like oh boop boop boop. And the whole thing is kind of fuzzy. It's not just one strand, one row of hairs going up the stem. So if we compare that to these, this one is the chickweed. You see how the leaves, they do come to a point at the end. They are not swoopy at the edges like this, but they are not nearly as pointy as this one, which also doesn't have the hair. So again, chickweed, not chickweed, and not chickweed. This one is also giving itself away as not chickweed because it has these little purplish flowers. Chickweed will have very white flowers. Alright, the last one we're going to look at is wild onion or garlic. So actually, I've been calling this wild onion for years, but I'm pretty sure it's wild garlic. I read recently that the leaf structure is opposite for the wild version. So onions have like a hollow leaf, and garlic has a very flat leaf. And for the wild versions, the wild garlic has the hollow leaf, and wild onion has a flatter leaf. But either way, this is an allium, and you can tell because when you break it, it smells like onions and garlic. It will have a really tiny bulb at the bottom that is really difficult to get out, actually. And it definitely tends to come up in lawns in the spring. People don't like it because it smells like onions and garlic when they mow the grass. But all of this is perfectly edible. It's a bit of a different flavor than cultivated varieties. But as long as it smells like an allium, it is edible. Okay, I thought that was the last one, but I just noticed this teeny tiny patch of wood sorrel. You can tell it's wood sorrel because the little leaves, they make little hearts. And this, if you taste it, it tastes a little citrusy. Just for comparison, this is the clover that is nearby in my yard. You see the leaves don't look like hearts. And if you get mixed up and accidentally eat some of this, it'll just taste like grass instead of slightly citrusy. So I think it'll be pretty clear pretty quickly that it's not the really tasty one. I do think clover might be edible, but I just don't think it's very good. I keep thinking I'm done, and then I keep seeing more. It isn't necessarily the season for this yet. It looks like it's doing only okay. This is narrow leaf plantain. This comes in the narrow form and also like a more like round leafed form. But both types you can tell because these stripes, these veins, I guess, go all the way from the base to the tip of the leaf, and all the leaves come from the center. If you pull the leaves off, they tend to be kind of mucusy. Just they feel like really nice leaves. They're not thin and dry like grass. Anyways, we are back inside because I wanted to show you what I do with plantain. This is a bunch of dried plantain leaves from the summer, and I use them for tea mostly. They are supposed to be really good for helping heal your digestive tract. So that is what these are for. And also, I've heard a lot of people talk about how plantain is good for cuts and stuff. If you are like out and about and you get a cut, if you chew up some plantain leaves, stick them on the skin, it should really help stop the bleeding pretty quickly. So I've tried that a couple times. It seems to work pretty well. Definitely not a necessary thing if you are in a house with a band-aid available. But yeah, that is what I use plantain for. I guess I should also mention that this is not related at all to the large banana-shaped plantain. They just happen to have the same name. Alrighty guys, so that is all I have for you today. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next week on the garden tour. Until then, happy gardening!